welcome to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color. I'm Jed Toffer. Thanks for listening. You know, my wife Vicki and I have owned and operated our photography studio, V Gallery, for 20 years now. White House has been our lab for the last 16 of those years, and we could not be happier. White House is a family-run business, just like ours. If you haven't already, check them out at whcc.com. And if you want to drop me a line, feel free to email me at jed@whcc.com. Everybody has a camera. In fact, for the most part, everybody has a pretty awesome camera. And that tech just keeps getting better and better. Have you seen the night mode shots that our phones can pull off these days? It's insane. This rise in technology is just one of the reasons why it's so important for professional photographers to be able to offer both an amazing experience as well as amazing images to our clients. Senior photographer Trevor Ray from Austin, Texas, focuses on both. And he offers some unforgettable options to make it happen. If you want an incredible experience, Trevor Ray will go there. Let's start with who you are, where you're from, what you do, all the deets.
All right. My name's Trevor Ray Thompson. I'm from Austin, Texas. I am a senior portrait photographer. I've been doing that in Austin for about 6 years now, and about 10 years of just general photography. I started out when I lived in Los Angeles, and I was a still photography for indie films. Still photographer is a person that takes behind the scenes set photos that they can use for promotion. I did that for about 2 years, and then when I moved to Austin, started getting a little bit into event photography, and a few years into Austin, I decided I wanted to exclusively shoot seniors, and so that's what I've been doing for about 6 years now.
Indie films.
Yeah.
Any I might know?
Probably not.
They were indie.
Indie. The biggest one was called Acts of Violence, and it has Ron Perlman and Lily
Sobieski.
Yeah.
I know that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I like movies.
Okay. Yeah, that was a trip, like being on set with them and hanging out for the shoot and stuff.
I like Ron Perlman.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing, especially Sons of Anarchy. Was he in Sons of Anarchy or?
Yeah.
I
don't know. I think so.
I think he was. Okay.
Yeah, I never watched Sons of Anarchy.
Good.
It's not a movie; it's a TV show.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's not true. I like TV too. So 10 years you've been doing this?
Yeah.
What'd you do before?
Programming on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what drew you into photography?
I've always been a creative. I had been probably doing photography non-professionally since the digital cameras came out.
Yeah.
I'm not old school. I never learned how to develop my own photos.
Right.
But
now, do you ever feel, okay, so you say that,
yeah,
and there's like a tinge of, I'm not in that club sort of thing. Is that
feel
fair
that
to
the people that are in the club feel that they're in the club, but I don't really care.
Okay, but you have experienced like this club-like feeling. Like when you say I'm not old school, you mean I haven't been doing it long enough so that when I was doing it, film was primarily the medium.
Exactly, and for better or for worse, I mean, there are photographers that feel that that's a certain cred that makes you a legit photographer.
I think you're right.
And that's there. Maybe there's some point to that, but
right.
It doesn't bother me.
Have you experienced anything from your customers or clients at all that would indicate that it matters?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Well, and I also will say that, I mean, all skills will add to your tool set, and if you're a photographer that has developed their own film and learned that can only help your current work. It's definitely a plus, but it doesn't apply to me.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah.
So what's your specialty then? What do you focus on mostly?
Senior photography.
Senior photography in Austin, Texas.
That is right.
How is the market in Austin, Texas for senior photography?
The market is great. It's such a huge city for the middle of Texas, and it's also got a lot of suburbs that just kind of, you just keep driving and you don't really actually see country for quite a while. It's just a lot of little suburbs.
It's a good place for creatives.
Yeah.
Great music city.
Oh yeah, live capital music of the world.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and there's lots of photographers out there, but that's fine. There's enough for everybody, and it's a great place to live. I like it.
How are you different?
How am I different?
If there's a lot of photographers down there, and I believe you that there are, why would I come to you over anybody else?
You would come to me, and this is, I guess, what they're talking about, the elevator pitch, and I'm not sure that I'm great at that, but...
Well, you have more than just an elevator ride to pitch.
I want people to come to me that see my work and like it, and I shoot more of a kind of editorial style, and I also want to make them feel amazing, and I'm sure all photographers want that and do that, but that's for me, I want them to see my work and say, this is what I want. And it's also about an experience, which I try to promote on my stories and my social media about if you book a session with me, the experience is going to be an amazing time. And I think it's the way that I easily engage and communicate, and just am kind of relaxed with the client and the shooting style, and make them laugh and make them feel at ease, so I can get those natural poses and get a smile that mom will like, and because sometimes I think maybe it's hard to get them to do a real laugh, but I feel like I can do that, and get pictures for mom, and then also get pictures that the senior will think is awesome.
You mentioned style and experience. Let's talk for a second about style and experience. Is one of them more important to you?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, as far as like how you present yourself and your work and your brand, let's say, to your clients, when your clients think of you, do you want them to think of one over the other? Oh, he's got a great style. I really like I really like the way that his images are presented. I really like his captures. Or do you want them to think, I had a wonderful time with him. He's a really good guy. I was really comfortable. I felt safe. All the stuff. Like one versus the other. Do you think of one more than the other? Do you focus on one? I'm only asking. Because at this Push conference, 2019 in particular, I have heard it brought up more than once this year for whatever reason. And some people, I will mention no names, but some people have said, oh, the focus is too much on this and not enough on this.
Right. I think they're both equally important. I can't say one over the other, but I do feel that a lot of people, the experience needs to be pushed. Pushed. Get that?
No pun intended.
Because of the trend of everyone has amazing cameras in their pocket. And so these days, moms and anyone else can pull out their phone, put it in portrait mode, and take an amazing photo. And so we as senior photographers need to push ourselves to be more than that. It can't just be a great portrait mode image. It has to be an experience as well.
So would you say that it's fair to say, I'm asking really, is it fair to say that the experience is what has the power to differentiate you more than style? Or is it easier for your clients to replicate style than it is for them to find a good experience? I'm trying to parse this out.
Sure. So this is, I think, in both ways. I think you have to have, obviously, but you need to show the clients that they're going to have an amazing experience with their session, before the session, with a consultation, and the whole process has to be amazing to differentiate between just them taking a photo with their phone. But then also, we have to push ourselves on the photography side as well, and be more than just a portrait mode photo. We need to stylize our photos. We need to, for me at least, like I feel like I can look at the back of my camera and love the image, but I have to take it to my computer and I need to push it a little more because I want it to stand out.
Certainly not sacrificing one for the other, right? Like focusing on both. But I guess the part that that screams to me is that there are so many people now that say, oh, I can go here and get great looking photos for X amount of dollars, and can you do something like that? And it's like a ridiculous price, and you're just like, $75 for all my images on a disc or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes, in my experience, many times that's junk, right? Sometimes it's not.
The $75 CD is junk. Is that what you're saying?
Right. The images on there are just like, well, that's about what it's worth.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. And really that's just, a case of the person being drastically inappropriately priced for where they should be.
Right.
But the experience, that's something that you can really put out great images. But if you don't have the experience to go along with it, or if you have a poor experience that goes along with it, you might not have any business or not for long.
Right.
So you focus a lot on both.
Both. And one of the things I offer also is destination shoots, which we will meet in a city, and I will shoot them for a couple of days, and I'm there with the client and the mom and maybe the sister and the husband, and we'll go to coffee in between the shoots, and it's just an amazing time for them, and that's something I can offer that would differentiate from the $75 CD guy.
Well, because you're offering yourself, really.
Yeah,
and that's a big difference. Is that you're you and nobody else is you.
Yeah.
Where do you go destination wise?
San Francisco. We've been to Paris and London.
Really?
Yeah.
And these are people from Austin or people from those cities that you go shoot?
From Austin. Yeah.
And you travel to these places. And you offer like a photographic experience, and it's mostly seniors.
Yeah, it's only seniors.
Only seniors.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a package for that? How does that work?
They pay a session fee, and then a little bit more to cover my travel.
Right.
And then other than that, it's just like any other senior portrait experience when they come back and they order the prints. And
do you scout stuff out, or how do you? I mean, if you're going to go someplace, if you're like, let's go to Dubai.
I'll do some Googling. But
you do what you can.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty confident in getting to a place I've never been and walking around like, okay, let's shoot there and shoot there. Right. And we'll talk together. Sometimes, if they say, I have to shoot at the Eiffel Tower, then we'll do that.
Right.
And, you have to take some photos where, it's where you were, instead of coming back and you have a photo and like, did you go to Paris or did you go to San Antonio?
Where's that
I don't know.
Right. That could be anywhere.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What does your sales process look like then? Not just for that, but in general, how do you handle sales?
Sales, it's pretty standard. After we shoot, we would do an ordering session about 2 weeks later, and they come in, and either they come to me or I come to them. I'll do whatever's easiest for them, and we go through and we look at all the photos that I've chosen to show them, and it's about 80 photos, and then they pick from there, from albums and wall art and such of what they want to purchase. And
they initially see about 80.
Yeah.
Now here's a question that I don't ask very often.
Sure.
And I've found that photographers don't like to answer it.
Well, I might not like to answer it.
Maybe it won't matter to you. You're culling them down to 80.
Right.
From about what?
Oh, I'm fine with answering that. It depends on if they do a in-studio shoot. There's less because it's flash photography, and it's each shot, the shutter is not pressed as much.
Right.
But if we're out walking around the streets in Paris and stuff, I'll click many times because I want to get action. I like action in the photos. I like expressions. And I feel as far as my posing, I'm more natural posing. And there's some photographers that are amazing at just exact posing.
Right.
I'm not one of those. And so for me, I like to get them in action and get kind of just some natural stuff. And so I take a few clicks. So it also depends, if it's 2 days shoot or if it's a 1 day shoot. But as far as you're asking, how many images are on my SD card? There could be 1,800 maybe that I'd whittle down.
That's in a big shoot.
Yeah.
So you're going from 1800 to 80.
Because I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
and when I put it back on my computer and I come home, I'll immediately just like press the arrow button and nope. And
Right.
because I'm just looking for those 80.
Well, and I
I'll
asked
probably-
that question
yeah.
because I've experienced the overshooter's shame piece sometimes
Shame?
too. Yeah, where they're like, oh, I'm embarrassed at how much I shoot because I think
Yeah.
this is me guessing. This is
Yeah.
my theory that a lot of times a big complaint or a big bottleneck or a big issue that people have is culling and all the time that it takes
Yeah.
to go through all of their images. And then you say, well, how many did you shoot?
Right.
Like in other words, how much work are you essentially giving yourself?
Exactly. And
Right.
and that's, for me, it's not the culling part, is it goes really fast. It's as fast as I can push the arrow, because I can just look at it right away. And to be honest, I mean, I'll share like what I'll do. This is my process.
Yeah.
If you want to know.
I do.
So when I put them on the computer, sometimes the camera, there'll be a movement and you won't get the eyes in focus, or it'll be
Right.
just slightly out of focus.
Right.
So the first thing I do is I just go through and mark all the ones that are in focus.
Right.
And then I know what I have to deal with. And then I go through and I go one more time and say, okay, which ones really stand out?
Right.
And then so that's, I go 3 passes.
So you're really picking the yeses
Yeah.
more than the no's, which makes sense. If you want 80
Right.
out of 1800,
Yeah.
you don't want to pick 1720 and say no.
Right.
You want to pick 80 and say yes. So you go through, if it's in focus, it's a potential.
Yeah.
You go through again and you narrow that down to
Yeah.
what the really good ones are. And then you go through a third time.
Yeah.
What's the third time? The best of the best?
Sort
Cream
of.
of the crop.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the third time is making sure that I don't have, I've picked images that aren't exactly the same kind of.
I see.
Like if I shot this one and then I didn't realize that I shot exactly the same one
Right.
while I was, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that gets you down to 80.
Yeah.
That's something somewhat manageable for your clientele.
Yeah.
You don't want to give them 300 images. That
Right.
also makes your sales appointment a really long experience
Yes.
and overwhelming. How long does your sales process usually take? Like in-person sales, you with them, same place.
Right.
How long does that usually take?
Well, that varies. I've had people it take a long time, but I like to get them in and out in about an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do they usually order then?
Huh? Yes. I make them order them.
You make them. Okay. Let me know your secret for that. How do you
Well,
do
no,
it?
there's not a choice. If you don't want to order, you have a minimum order requirement, and
Yeah.
if that's just the way it is.
Right.
Because if you let them go without ordering,
Yes.
I don't know mathematically, but there's probably a 80% chance that they're going to change their mind or they're going to
Right.
not order. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So they know that you're here to order
Yeah.
today.
This is their ordering session. And it's called
and
that.
That's
and
just generally how it goes.
yeah. That's why they're here. And
Right.
I just make it as it's not some sort of trick or whatever. You're coming to order photos. This is what we're doing.
How's your pricing structure set up?
I feel like it's fairly typical. I have 4 collections, and I have the high collection and the low collection. And I try to, I never want to sell that low collection, and I'd be overjoyed if they pick the highest collection. I usually get them somewhere in the middle.
So do you have 3 or 4?
4, yeah.
You have 4.
4.
So they usually order one of the middle 2.
Yeah,
And every so often you get the top dog.
exactly.
What have you found to be the biggest challenges? Like what's the hard part look like for you?
The hard part of photography,
Yeah, your business and photography in general.
keeping up with social media. I love it,
Yeah.
but it's also you have to do it all the time. Like especially it's just becoming more and more like it now.
Really,
now,
in order for it to be effective, you do, don't you?
And it's now. I mean, 3 years ago, you should post to Instagram, maybe once a day or something.
Mm-hmm.
But now you gotta be posting on stories like
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 times a day,
Throughout
and
the day.
then Snapchat, and
Yeah.
okay, now let me do an Insta story. Okay, here's one for Snapchat, and
And so are you doing that yourself? Or
Yeah.
do you have any?
right now it's me. I'd love to find a solution where maybe I can get someone to do that, but I can't see that working right now because
man.
I'm selling me, and I don't.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm the only one that's me. So
Right. So far.
yeah,
Do you have employees?
I know it's just me.
It's only you.
Yeah.
One man show.
Yep.
So social media is the biggest stumbling block for you in general.
I wouldn't say stumbling block, but it's
Challenge.
Yeah, it's just the biggest thing that I wish I didn't have to do.
Right. Right.
But I also love social media, so I love doing it. But I just wish I didn't have to do it so much.
Too much. Right. Right. It's necessary though.
Right.
In your opinion.
But that's, I mean, I feel like that's an important thing to say too to other photographers, that you need to be doing social media all the time. And if you're not doing it right. And I'm guilty of not doing it right sometimes as well, but I know that I need to be doing it all the time.
Do you use any other forms of marketing or advertising?
As far besides social media,
Yes.
no, I don't do direct mail or billboards or no, nothing else.
So
Word of mouth, but
Right.
that's happens over social media, or
Right.
when the moms and dads are meeting other parents for brunch or whatever.
What are your plans for your business moving forward?
Plans are I'd like to I always want, I don't want to be overbooked. Like I want to
What's
be,
that look like
well,
for you?
what I mean is, like, I would rather provide a very high quality service for a few people versus just a rush service for a lot of people.
So you want smaller volume,
Yeah.
larger average.
Yes.
This is so business speak, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to larger volume, smaller average.
Yes.
What sort of strategies do you implement to make that happen? To go that route? Is it pricing? Is it a certain clientele that you target via social media?
It's both. It's getting that pricing where I can get that clientele that I'm targeting.
Yes.
And
it's interesting that you say that. It's getting the pricing where you can get the people that you're targeting. Are you saying, and here's another one of my theories.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that some people want to pay a certain amount for nice photography? And I ask again because in my experience, there are some people that won't consider people that are so cheap, regardless of how good they are. Like, oh, if you're inexpensive, that means I don't want to come to you.
Correct.
I have the money to spend.
Right.
I value photography.
Mm-hmm.
I want to spend some money on it, or I'm willing to the point where those are the people that I'm going to be considering, the people that are priced higher.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. I hear exactly what you're saying. And I do believe that exists. I believe that just like with luxury brands,
Yeah.
I think there was, did you see that thing about Payless doing, so that Payless Shoes did a pop-up shop in,
Yes. Yes, I did.
Yeah. And so
That was awesome.
yeah. And so for those of you who don't know,
Yeah, you should talk about it now.
Payless
Sorry.
Shoes did a pop-up shop, I believe, in Beverly Hills, and they brought in Payless Shoes, but they changed the branding, and I forget the name that they called the new company.
Right.
And then they had a few people that were famous or influencers. They had some influencers,
right.
yes. Just rave about
Right.
the amazing shoes,
Right.
and everyone paid a ridiculous
Well, they
amount.
essentially like added a zero, right? To
Yeah.
all their shoes. So these aren't $29. They're
Right.
$290,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and people ate them up.
And they didn't change anything about them.
Yeah, and so I think price. If you're too low, yes, there are certain people that won't even touch it.
Right.
But on the flip side, there's also some of my biggest sales have been from people that that are not of that mindset.
Right.
They sacrifice everything and save up a lot of money to be able to get this experience for their senior.
Right.
So I think it's a little bit of both.
Sure.
I don't think I can have the mindset where if I just get this clientele from this neighborhood or what have you, I think will want to spend a lot of money.
Right.
I can't have that mindset because
Right.
it's sometimes some of my lowest sales have been from the people
The people that could buy your business.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
No, I get that too.
Yeah.
But That being said, it's interesting to me in that I think that it's hard for people, like it's hard for myself sometimes to understand that there's that market that exists that wants to pay for things, in that I can't afford, a $10,000 photography session.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't lots of people that can.
Right.
And maybe not lots and lots of people, but enough people in that if you're just going for a greater experience, higher price, smaller volume, you don't need a lot of clients.
Right.
Which is a benefit.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You just need to focus on a certain amount of clients to give you what you need regarding your average, right?
Yeah.
And have enough income coming in from that handful, and that gives you more time to spend with each of them to give them a better experience.
100%.
That makes
Yeah.
I'm trying to put a bow on it.
Yeah.
So that's really what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what your goal is.
Yeah.
What talk about a little bit about the Senior Style Guide and what that's meant for you and just the impact that it's had on you and your business a little bit. Plug it some.
Yeah, sure. I think for me, Senior Style Guide has been great in the sense that we can't do this thing in a bubble. I think we need to be around other photographers. And I think sometimes photographers get nervous about talking about their business or sharing what they're struggling with or what they're not struggling with, or just with other photographers. But I think that's so important. We need to push ourselves to be better. And sometimes the way to do that is learning from other photographers and shooting with other photographers and being friends with other photographers.
Right.
And Senior Style Guide is great to be able to do that. But also there's a lot of just the content that they put out it just pushes me to be better and learn from what what they're doing, this push thing. We've been having it's 3 days of just extensive training and shooting, and from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. I think, but it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing panel of photographers and speakers that I'm just soaking it all in. And being a part of Senior Style Guide, it's not just the push conference. It's also just throughout the whole year. They're constantly putting out content that photographers can engage with and learn from, and become better in their business.
It's a pretty great community.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
At Trevor AY, or you can just Google Trevor Ray. All you have to do is enter in Trevor space RAY, and I'm there.
All over the place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that sounds a little bit, but
on all over the social medias that
I'm on all the social medias.
Thanks for giving me some of your time.
Well, thank you, Jed. I appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Thanks.